Don't let life's emergencies become a financial emergency for you. I have a very real and vivid example of this coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. So planning for or even just avoiding life's emergencies, it's impossible. No matter how careful you are, life's going to throw you some curveballs from time to time. And then, how do you respond financially? When life throws you an emergency, does that create an emergency in your finances? Well, I would argue that aspiring to be prepared financially for whatever life emergency comes your way, that's a financial goal we should all aspire to. Let me tell you a recent story. I don't know if you can tell if you're a daily watcher of our videos here, but I'm a little tanner today than I was a week or so ago. I actually went on a road trip with my family and drove down to Florida, some warmer climate, see family and get some sun and all that sort of stuff. And we had in mind, because we're crazy, to get up in the middle of the night. I'd rather sleep for a couple hours in my bed than sleep for more hours in a hotel, because number one, I'm cheap. Number two, with 3 kids, I'm not going to that will not be good sleep in a hotel, okay? So I thought, well, let's go to bed early. We'll sleep for a couple hours. We'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get on the road, drive to Florida. We're good, all right? And somehow I convinced my wife that was a good idea. Well, we got the getting to bed early part right. But just 2 hours later, I woke up in unbelievable pain and abdominal pain on my right side. And I thought, oh, this is not good. After suffering for about an hour and running through every possible scenario in my head, could I drive 17 hours like this? Sorry, is this just gas? That sort of thing. Just thinking, what could be going on here? I finally doze off again after, being in pain for an hour. And I woke up within, a half hour or something like that. It was not lasting sleep because the pain had returned and it was worse. And so it's now maybe, 1:30 in the morning. And I have finally, after being in pain for another 15 minutes, I finally wake up Cindy and say, honey, you gotta take me to the emergency room. I don't know what's going on. There is a problem. And so we quickly call my mother-in-law, and she's awake because she is a night owl. And they're like, hey, can you watch the kids? We got to go to the ER. And she rushes over, bless her. And so I almost throw up. I tell Cindy, okay, I might throw up. Let's get a bag, whatever. And I'm in significant pain. She drives me to the ER. And thankfully, I had the most amazing team of folks at one of the local hospitals here in the ER unit. And I spent about 4.5 hours. So there went our plans to get on the road at 3 o'clock or 3:30. Spent about 4.5 hours in the ER doing all sorts of evaluations. Thankfully, we ruled out a ruptured or burst appendix, ruled out other issues, and isolated a kidney stone that had passed. I thought passing a kidney stone meant it was passing out of your body, okay? Now, passing a kidney stone, you learned something new today, is when it passes from your kidney into your bladder. I guess the tubes there are very thin, they're very small, and it's very painful as that stone goes through and cuts up those tubes there. And it was extremely painful, but thankfully crisis averted. I was in a lot of pain. They gave me a little medication to help with the pain, and we got out of the ER around 5 in the morning, okay? So I gotta tell you, I couldn't help but sit there in that hospital room, in that emergency room. I couldn't help but also think about, how much is this going to cost? You want to do a CT scan? How much is that going to cost? You want to do an ultrasound? How much is that going to cost? How much is this going to cost? How much? And thinking then, okay, my appendix ruptured. The pain was on my right side. I'm going to need to have this surgery. How much is this going to cost? And then, of course, the money that we've already spent for the trip, going down to Florida and the other things, all those plans that were going to change. I couldn't help but think about the financial cost and the financial ramifications of this pain, this emergency, okay? Now, for us, it's great news, great news. Kidney stone, okay, I can live with that. And just to finish the story, we ran home. I'm in significant pain. We grab the kids, we jump in the car, and we drive 17 hours straight down to Florida. And it was a painful experience, but we got there, we had a great trip. Okay, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is when life throws you those emergencies, I was not planning on a kidney stone. I'm so thankful it wasn't an appendix, but I wasn't planning on that either. And just like the next the next life emergency, I'm not planning on that one either. But you can still be financially prepared as possible for whatever the unknown is. How? Okay. Number one, I would have an emergency fund. This is a financial confidence account. I actually don't like the term emergency fund anymore. I'd rather have financial confidence be the title of this thing, because you know when that thing is fully funded, you know that, well, whatever happens within reason, I'm prepared. That gives you financial confidence. You don't have that worry staying up at night about what could happen, okay? So fully fund your emergency fund. How much should be in there? Work with your certified financial planner on that. I know a lot of people say 3 to 6 months of your lifestyle. Wow, that's an enormous gap. Depends on the debt in your life, depends on the cash flow that you have, your income sources and how reliable those are, the age of your house, the age of your cars, the how many kids you have. There's all sorts of factors that go into the amount you should have in your emergency fund. Work with your certified financial planner on that. Second, specifically have a plan as to what will you do if you have a health crisis. Now, the very first line of defense should be health insurance, right? But because of deductibles and copays, and we're on a high deductible plan, even though I've got that safety net in place of health insurance, the insurance itself isn't the first line of defense. I've got to pay the deductible before the insurance kicks in. But that deductible is a quantifiable number. So thankfully, my wife and I hope you as well, have 1 year's worth of deductible set aside as well. Some people keep this in their emergency fund. I keep it in my HSA, all right? And I would hope that you do as well. So that, hey, yes, it can be a life emergency, but it doesn't need to be a financial emergency, because you've planned on, I'm assuming I'm going to hit my deductible at some point, and therefore I've got the deductible, I've got that money set aside in this account, safe and sound right here. Okay. Same thing applies for your auto deductible as well. A car accident is called a car accident, not a crash plan, right? So it will happen out of the blue. You've got to be prepared for being able to cover your deductible at any time. Okay, and then finally, because this example, this life emergency for me happened at the same time we were also spending a lot of other money going on vacation, make sure you're planning ahead for all of your non-monthly delayed expenses, okay? So for us, we call that the 3 bank account system, where you've got your checking account, all your immediate expenses that come up every single month, they're all covered right there. You've got your delayed spending, where you've set money aside for all of the various things that you're going to spend money on that aren't monthly, that don't happen monthly. Maybe they happen every year or every few years. And then you've got your emergency fund, okay? Your financial confidence account that's fully funded. Those are your 3 bank accounts. So within that delayed spending, I've got multiple categories. I've got the health account for the deductibles. I've got my other insurance accounts. I've got my vacation account. I've got my new car account. I've got my home improvement account. I've got all of those, and some people have it all just packaged in one account, but you've got all of those pieces, those components right there in that delayed spending. Therefore, the money that we had set aside for our vacation wasn't disrupted because all of a sudden we had medical expenses that we weren't planning on. Both of those could coexist because we had planned for them appropriately. That's the approach that you need to take. Managing your cash flow, managing your finances in such a way so that when life throws you an emergency, it doesn't create a financial emergency. That's my recommendation for you. So work with your certified financial planner. Make sure you've got the right structure in place. If you don't have a CFP on your team that can help you with that, contact one on my team. Find us online. Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there too, or just send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.